Hey guys, welcome to the REI 360 show, episode number 6. Chris Haddon here, Jason Balin, as always. We have a cool show for you today. Different kind of topic, one that we're pretty excited about, and we're gonna jump right into it. The idea of our current blended reality, like what we live in, being part offline and part online.
That's right.
And what that means, where it came from, and you know, how it applies to business and life and everything else. Pretty cool stuff. Like, back in the day, in the 90s, for those who remember this, the whole dial-up internet world, there was a thing that you would say, it was a common phrase, you would say, I'm gonna go online. Like, you weren't always there. Yep. And it wasn't an easy transition. It was actually, it entailed some funny sounds from your modem, and like that, you're like, exactly, all that. And then you went from offline to online. I'm going on, now I'm online. Mom, I'm gonna go online. Mom, I'm online, leave me alone.
Yeah, you gotta walk into the other room, you plug in, not a Cat5 cord, you plug in, you know, like a phone line into the jack, and everybody else in your household couldn't use the phone because you were going online.
That's right, people couldn't use the phone if you're on. I forgot about that. Good one.
So you couldn't even do anything. Like, only one person could be on the line, but that's
I've been calling you.
Yeah, I've been calling you. Sorry, I've been online. Can you imagine? No, seriously. You know, around 97, 98, that's how it was. Later on, you know, around 2000, it switched over to the Ethernet, it was, and then all that. So, and now, of course, we're all walking around with a wireless mobile internet-connected device everywhere we go, the phone and the iPad and everything else, laptop. So that blend in our own realities and our lives has occurred, and there's a couple cool things to break down. So, if you think about how something online is affecting you offline, there's a couple real, you know, basic examples to illustrate that. One is something like Yelp. Yep. Yelp, you would go to find reviews about a restaurant, for example. You're looking at it online on your phone while you're walking around offline and looking for something to eat offline. Something like Tinder, for example. You are looking online on your phone for someone to date offline.
That's right.
Because dating offline is better than online.
That GPS for everything.
GPS is a good one.
There's a lot of examples. I mean, there's a lot of newer tech companies that it's the same setup. It's they're online companies for, you know, they're kind of in the online mode to get people to their offline operation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for a while leading up to, you know, the recent past, most companies were either an offline company or an online company, and one or the other. And something like REI 360, for example, is for the most part an online company because you're using tools and training that lives on the internet. It also has offline components like our meetup group and everything else here. How that applies to business and really anyone in real estate or in tech or in, you know, small business entrepreneurship, is that you're communicating with people constantly via content or whatever else you can put out online and social and everything else. Like right now, you're seeing us online, but we are here offline. Right.
And real estate's a good example because real estate's notorious for being an offline type of business model.
Yes.
You know, there's a physical house.
Physical properties.
You actually sign in original ink to purchase a house. But I think it's important to understand that you try to blend the two together. Any business, not just real estate, although that's what we happen to be in, you know, you blend like the online and the offline component, and it's a real powerhouse. In our lending company, we use the power of the internet to do marketing, to do email broadcasts, to hit up the masses, which is a heck of a lot cheaper and easier than to do snail mail, which we certainly do, and all, you know, and offline stuff.
Or even telephone.
Exactly.
That is not nearly as much of a factor in business like it used to be.
So
you communicate online, whether it's marketing or transaction related. You're communicating online for a transaction that is occurring offline with a physical property.
And it doesn't matter what offline business you have. I mean, if you have a restaurant, go online and market the heck out of your restaurant.
Right.
You know, if you're anything you're selling, even if you're selling a product or a service that is consulting, you know, one-on-one, you know, there's ways to capture more audiences doing it online through websites, through marketing channels, things like that. So I think it's important to understand that any business you are, and listen, if you're an online business on the other side,
I was just about to mention that.
You're an online business on the other side, it's important to kind of try to bring that online presence offline back to the one-on-one interaction.
Real human-to-human interaction.
Exactly, and not just via tech support or email chat or text, stuff like that. And I think, in my opinion, that's where a lot of newer age tech companies have run into issues, because they're potentially either in their parents' basement hiding behind a website, or they're somewhere hiding behind the website, and go try to find a phone number to even talk to that person.
Right.
I mean, they most likely, who knows if they have an office or not, but those companies that blend the two are really powerful.
Yeah. So for the straight online company, say it's a tool sort of company or an affiliate platform or something like that, that if they were taking the time and making the effort to meet people, maybe do a conference, a meetup group, document that on video and pictures and everything else, and put that out to the world, you might have a different perspective of who that company is.
Sure.
Instead of just being like, a website and not even a customer service number, just like a help email.
Yeah, I mean, so many companies that we're involved with on a regular basis, trying to get a hold of them is a nightmare. It's just
the online companies.
The online companies. It's just tech support, and it's put in a ticket or do this or do that, and we're savvy, right? So some of that stuff I can deal with, but other people aren't savvy. So you're turning away older demographics, people that don't have aren't accustomed to that. Some people don't want to just communicate via email or through a ticket support system. They want to pick up the phone and go through a few questions. And I get why they do it. Obviously, keep costs down. It's cheaper.
Yeah.
To them, it's more efficient.
Put any resources towards that.
But obviously, I guess the where we're trying to get at is it's good to have a blend of both.
It's good to have a blend of both, and also in that one example Jason was saying about, okay, I understand if you don't want to have a tech support line because you do have to put money and people and resources into that, but you're also missing out on the opportunity to talk to your best people. Exactly. Missing out on that incredible business building opportunity to talk to your top customers.
Exactly.
So what's the the ROI on that versus what you're putting into that resource is tough to say.
I always compare a web form on a web page to a storefront and somebody actually walking into a store. So you walk into a store or you fill out your information on a website. I mean, they're walking to the store and asking the clerk or somebody there a question related to a product that I want to buy, even if I don't want to buy it. Or you go into a website and I download information, or I look at some content for something that I purchase, that I want to potentially learn about or purchase online.
Right.
And if somebody is going into your website, filling out a form, and then they can't get in hold of you, that's like somebody walking into your store and not helping them. It's very similar that way. So, again, I'm not saying to have this ultimate customer service set up online or offline, but just understand the blend. And I mean, we have a lot of friends that are full-time internet marketers in that space, and you can't get them on the phone. They don't want to be on the phone. They want to, and
maybe you can call them on Skype.
Maybe on Skype. And I mean, I was talking to someone on Skype yesterday, and his phone kept, and he was like, he almost gave up on the conversation because his internet, he was calling through Skype. Like, first we were chatting, I was like, I can't chat. I'm not going to sit here and chat for 1 hour of all these questions. Yeah. Like, let's just get on the phone. I was like, let's get on the phone, and he said, okay, cool. I'll call you through Skype. And I was like, obviously I just put in my cell phone number and said, call me here. If it's through Skype, that's fine. And then of course his thing kept going on, and he was like, I think we're having issues with it. There's internet connection problems.
The connection's going.
I was like, that's on your end, not on my end. My phone's working great. I got 4 bars. So I was like, forget Skype. It's not working. Get on the phone
not
and do it.
Not completely online yet.
So, and I mean, yeah. So whatever. We obviously it's, we're online with a lot of the things that we do, and we've learned that especially on our lending and our Ad360 company, we're hitting the masses with internet marketing and things we can do on the internet that we couldn't do nearly on scale offline. But going back to the importance of, no matter what your business is, if it's predominantly online or predominantly offline, figure out the blend.
Yeah, just recapping, like Jason said, figure out the blend that's most appropriate for you and your business and your skill set and what you like and everything else. If you're an offline sort of business, then do what works for you, building that snowball, that database that we talk about. Is it blogging? Are you a great writer? Is it pics and social media, everything else? Just figure out what works for you so that you can get that exposure, so that you can communicate with people online, because that's where they're spending their time. And on the other side, if you're a web-based business, see what kind of human interaction you can work into your day-to-day, week to week. Like take some pictures with people, talk to customers, whatever it may be, to still have that good emphasis on your customers and the fact that they are people and they do, at the end of the day, want to interact with people offline. So that's the thing for today. That's our main topic. We have a question. Anything else you want to touch on before we go to the question? Are you good there?
No, I think I'm good.
Cool.
I think that makes sense.
We have a question. It came from Anthony West. He's a realtor in Kansas City. This actually came through an article that we wrote and that ended up on Inman.com. And he's asking about hard money.
We know a little bit about that.
We know a little bit about that. We know hard money. How does the loan and funding process work if I wanted to buy an investment property, renovate it, sell it? How does the loan and funding process work? You want to handle that? That is your end of our business.
Yeah, I think I can handle that.
Okay.
So a few things, just to kind of get that out there. Our lending company, Hard Money Bankers, is predominantly lending in Maryland, Virginia, DC, and Northern Virginia.
And Philly.
I think I said Virginia twice. But that being said, there's hundreds and hundreds of hard money lenders all over the country. So even if we can't do a loan for this gentleman, somebody I'm sure can.
Sure.
So typically lenders are looking to get some basic information on the front end, either like a mini loan application or at least the property address and the construction costs and things like that, just so they have an understanding of what the borrower or real estate investor is looking for. And then they'll typically quote them a loan amount. They'll go online, pull some comps, figure out, do a little bit of research on the property, and then figure out exactly how much they want to lend, and they'll quote the loan for the borrower. In our business practices, we're lending at up to 100% of the after repair value, the term ARV, after repair value.
65%.
So it's 100% of acquisition and construction as long as it stays at 65% of the after repair value. So what that means is if you're buying a property for $100,000 and it needs $30,000 in renovations, and you think you can sell it for $200,000, 65% of 200 is 130. So we would lend 100% of the acquisition of 100, 100% of the construction, which is 30, which is a gross 130 loan amount. That's kind of the rule of thumb for the industry. Some lenders, may require more cash down, less cash down.
Sure.
It's a pretty hot market out there across the United States. So it's kind of been challenging to find really, really strong deals, that meet that 65% mold. But that's how you do it. The first part is get a good deal, either under contract or that you're interested in, and chat with the hard money lender, figure out what their bread and butter is, see what they're interested in, and reach out to them, introduce yourself, and take it from there.
I'd also add in one quick thing is that when you're first approaching a lender or trying to get a quote on a property that's definitely in their wheelhouse, bread and butter, you don't have to send them every document and a full write-up and a whole bunch of stuff that, like, an underwriter or lender like Jason gets a lot of emails, a lot of inquiries, our company does in general. Don't inundate him with way too much information so that he can't quickly see what's going on in order to give you the answer you want. So keep it concise.
Yeah.
The basic information, the property, the purchase price, the construction
little bit about yourself,
your own background,
things like that, and any hard money lender that has done deals before can respond quickly on something like that.
Cool. All right, so there you go, Anthony West. I hope that answers your question. Feel free to ask any questions, hashtag the REI360 show. Feel free to comment on Twitter or Facebook, hook us up with a share or retweet too as well, and we'll be back at you soon. Thanks a lot.
Take care.